Good morning bakers and welcome to Lisey's Bakery. Today I would like to show you how I made this black, white and pink cake, and I used some pink Isomalt to create some shards and some Isomalt sails. Let's get started. So the very first thing I did is I completely covered my surface with some cornstarch. This is just so the fondant doesn't stick and you can easily pick it up to put it onto your cake. So I put the pink, then the white and black fondant in a row, rolled it out completely flat, cut it to size and placed it onto my dummy cake. I used dummy cake because this is for demonstrative purposes only and nobody ate this cake, I promise you that. I covered my dummy in some coconut oil. This is just to make the fondant stick, but you can also cover your dummy in some water or just spray some water onto it before you put the fondant on and it will stick just as well. I then continued to cover the top of my dummy with some more pink fondant just to make sure that everything is covered and completely finished off. Before I get too excited about this video, I have to mention that this is old footage that I'm reusing because I actually made this video and shot this video for Crystal Candy a few years ago. It's also featured on their channel and you can have a look at their YouTube channel, which I'll link below, and you can also look at their website because most of the products that I'm using in this video is from Crystal Candy, including all the molds. So the next thing we want to do is melt some Isomalt in a pot. You need to do this over a high heat and please be very careful because the stuff burns the nonsense out of you if it gets onto you. It's very hot. It is after all a sugar. Make sure to melt your Isomalt completely. After I've taken it off the stove, I added in some white because I wanted to make it opaque, and then I added in some pink to make it the pink color that I wanted. So I then continued to pour my melted Isomalt that I colored onto a silicone mat and draped the entire silicone mat over the back end of a cup. I waited about 2 minutes before I poured it onto the silicone mat just so that it would thicken up a little bit. If the Isomalt is too thin or too hot when you're pouring it onto your silicone mat and you pick it up, it's just going to run off and you can have like a very thin Isomalt sail, which is very easily breakable. So I did actually end up breaking my Isomalt sail, but anyway, I still used it and I thought it still turned out great. I stuck it onto the top of my cake with some more melted Isomalt. I then continued to cut a hole or a crevice into the side of my cake, and this is where I would like to create the geode part of the cake. So I want the crystals to stand out from this part. You can cut it out, hollow it out. Because I used the dummy, it was quite hard to get the polystyrene out, but on a real cake this will obviously be much easier. I then continued to fill the same gap then with some more fondant just to smooth it out, to make sure you're not going to see any cake, or in this case polystyrene, sticking out when you're putting your shards or your crystals in there. I then went and used some edible gold dust which I mixed with alcohol. This is to create an edible paint, and I painted it on the very tips of my Isomalt sail as well as the areas where the black and the white meet on the cake. I wanted to really highlight this and make it look really pretty. I also used the gold to splatter some gold splats onto the side of the cake, and I actually went in with some black and splattered some black onto the cake as well. So next I melted some more Isomalt. I colored it pink once again, and I used this crystal mold that you can buy from Crystal Candy to create my crystals that went onto the cake. So it's really easy. You basically just pour your molten Isomalt into the mold, you leave it out on the counter to set and to harden completely, and once they're hardened you can just pull them out of the mold and they're perfect to use. So once I've made more than enough crystals, I went and stuck them all over the cake. This is completely up to you and you can go wild. I put them in my little crevice, in my geode crevice that I created earlier, and I placed them inside my Isomalt sail, and you can just go bananas. So that's it. That's how I made this cake. I hope that you learned something valuable today from this tutorial, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. I was inspired to make this cake from a video that I saw on Pinterest, and I absolutely fell in love with this cake and decided to create my own version of it. I hope that you have a fantastic day. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for the next tutorial. I'll see you soon.